And usually it's best to have confrontations in the midst of a good connected moment. Confrontation is taking rocks out before you collapse in relationship. That doesn't mean sharing, like if you have one of those people, you're like, I haven't shared anything with that person for a long time. Start with something small. And usually it's best to have confrontations in the midst of a good connecting moment. One more reason I just want to say, like, that confrontation is so good. We've met with people all the time. They're like, man, I have no issues in my life right now. I have like, man, life is so easy and good. But then when you start to investigate, you're like, no, you've created this healthy little buffer around you and people where you're just maintaining the peace in relationships. And you're not doing any level of depth with really anybody. You moved across the planet to be away from mom and dad. You've avoided anybody that's brought feedback into your world. And you have no spiritual mother or father or leadership or mentorship. And then every time they've showed up, you found a way to disqualify them. And everybody's at fault except for you in your life. You're like, that's very interesting. And if I were to bring that up, you'd probably avoid me too. Crazy. So it's like confrontation is one of those things where you're like, okay, if I'm not addressing why I'm so afraid of being confronted or giving confrontation, then I will continue to be powerless to connection and intimacy in my life and relationship. That's not what we want. We want closeness. And that's the goal of this, is how can we create closeness with people in our lives?
Some of my confrontations, like the last confrontation I can think of, I had already read the writing on the wall of a friend in my life. The writing on the wall was, she doesn't reach out. She said she wanted friendship. She doesn't invite me to anything. I'm specifically the only one left out, with the rest of the group, but she told me she wanted to be my friend. So the writing on the wall is, there's something she doesn't like about me, and there's a reason why she's leaving me out. And instead of me making up in my head what I think is the reason, or just deciding to quietly remove myself from the equation, which I already kind of had, I just quietly been like, okay, I'm just going to pull back. I can see what's happening. But instead of just leaving it in this passive, avoidant, no communication wonderland and pretending like we're friends when we see each other, I was like, I would rather honor the amount of relationship we've had over the last couple of years and have a clarifying conversation. This conversation, based on her response, will either bring us closer together, or it will give me the clarity that I need, and it will end with us not being close. Hopefully it's done with love and respect mutually, no matter what it ends up in. So in this confrontation, and I told her this, the goal wasn't for us to be friends at the end of it. I let her know, hey, I don't need to be your friend. I'm not saying any of this because I need you to include me or invite me in any of it. I am just wanting to know why, and if there was something that I did that maybe caused you pain or offended you, I would just love clarity, because I don't know, because you've never communicated why you don't want to be friends with me. All I know is, on my experience of our relationship, there's a lot of quietness and me being not included in things.
Yeah.
And she was incapable of having healthy confrontation. My messages were really loving, very vulnerable, very tender, not controlling at all. Here's my experience. Here's my pain. I don't need anything, but I would love some clarity. And I was met with blame, judgment, accusation over things that she never communicated to me. And she didn't share any of it with any vulnerability. And my response was like, hey, I hear you. I'd love to sit down and hear more. I want to hear your experience. I didn't get to hear a lot of vulnerability in your message, just a lot of assumptions about me. But if there were things that I did that caused you pain, I would love to hear your heart in it. And she was unwilling to have a conversation with me. I was met with more judgment, more assumption, more accusation. And so I saw one of the questions, and I think it's a very good question when it comes to confrontation, is what do you do whenever the person you are needing to have a conversation with, or a healthy confrontation with, doesn't want that same thing or is unwilling to have it? Great question. The thing is you cannot have a healthy confrontation with someone who is unwilling. And if you think about all of the work, for me, if I think about the many, many, many years of facing myself, doing ministry school, inner healing, learning about confrontation, reading books, getting therapy, therapy, doing counseling, confrontation is still scary for me. So what do I do whenever the person that I'm needing to have a confrontation with is unwilling to do it? Well, I have to like put the empathy pants on of like, wow, confrontation is really scary. And if I've done 12 plus years of work to be at the point where I am able and willing to have a loving, respectful conversation and it still feels this scary to me, I just feel compassion for this person's inability to understand their triggers, understand how to share things with vulnerability, not bring blame, not bring judgment. Like, I'm not going to project and expect you to be where I'm at and be ready and willing to do this. But that is very clarifying for me of we're probably not equally yoked and able to build any level of relationship if we can't practice this skill together. And that answers my question. It doesn't solve the pain in my heart. It doesn't solve the frustration of, dang, it sucks that it ended like that. Dang, it sucks that you are unwilling to have a loving conversation with me. I wish I could hear your vulnerability. I wish I could hear your narratives you have about me. I wish I could be in your shoes and understand what must be going through your head, but I'll never get that. And so with that frustration, with that pain, it's not something that anyone will ever be able to solve for me. And even if she could have a healthy conversation with me, I wouldn't want that conversation to be the thing that resolves my pain. I want that to be a me and Jesus job. So that's when you know, okay, this is pain that I can process through in healthy ways. I can process it with a safe person, share my pain, my frustrations. I can journal it. I can write a letter that I never send to that person. And then I also get to bring love and compassion to my inner child of, I'm so sorry you feel judged. I'm so sorry you felt so wronged by the way that that person handled that. I love you and I'm going to fight for you and I'm going to protect you. And so will Jesus. Jesus, how do you want to love me through that?